When people think of the 1986 World Cup, Mexico comes to mind first. Then, the Azteca Stadium. And then, Diego Armando Maradona. But Maradona's story in Mexico cannot be reduced to a single image. Because in that tournament, he carried everything within him: talent, rebellion, controversy, intelligence, deception, anger, magic, and a few seconds that would be carved into football history. Still, if this story has to begin somewhere, the place is clear. June 22, 1986, Mexico City, Azteca Stadium, the World Cup quarterfinal between Argentina and England. In that match, Maradona showed two opposite sides of football history in only 4 minutes. First, he scored one of the most controversial goals the game has ever seen. Then, he scored what may be the greatest goal in World Cup history. One goal had a hand in it. The other had more than just feet. It had balance, courage, rhythm, and genius. One felt like the dark side, the other felt like light. And maybe that was part of what made Maradona who he was. Flawed, but mesmerizing. Controversial, but unforgettable. A footballer who stood at the center of the stage, even with his mistakes. Argentina did not arrive at the 1986 World Cup as a perfect favorite in everyone's eyes. The team was led by Carlos Bilardo. Bilardo was a detail-oriented coach. He valued defensive security, and he wanted to keep the game under control. His football philosophy had been debated in Argentina for a long time. The squad also included Daniel Passarella, the captain of the team that had won the 1978 World Cup. But in Mexico, the team had now been built around a different center. That center was Maradona. The captain's armband had been given to him, and Argentina's attacking structure, transitions, and creativity depended largely on his freedom. Passarella did not play in the tournament. The official explanations pointed to physical problems. But in Argentina, people were also talking about the balance inside the dressing room, the captaincy issue, and the power dynamics within the team. This remained one of the background stories of Mexico '86. Maradona, meanwhile, did not arrive at the tournament looking like today's idea of a perfect athlete. He had suffered injuries. He was said to be far from ideal physical condition. And when he stepped onto the pitch, even the slight belly showing under his shirt became a talking point. But Maradona's appearance was misleading. He did not control the game with muscle. He controlled it with timing. When the ball came to his feet, the rhythm of the pitch changed. Defenders accelerated. The stands held their breath. And the match began waiting for his next touch. Argentina began the tournament with a 3-1 win over South Korea. Maradona did not score, but he played a decisive role in his team's goals. Then came a 1-1 draw against the defending champions, Italy. This time, Argentina's goal came from Maradona. A 2-0 win against Bulgaria brought Argentina first place in the group. In the round of 16, the opponent was Uruguay. Argentina won that match 1-0 and reached the quarterfinal. Everything was moving forward, step by step. But the real turning point of the tournament would come in the quarterfinal. The opponent was England. Even before the players stepped onto the pitch, this was not an ordinary football match. Argentina and England had faced each other only 4 years earlier in the Falklands War. That is why the quarterfinal at the Azteca carried a meaning that went beyond football, even before the first whistle. Before the match, Maradona tried to keep the encounter within the game, but years later, he would speak much more openly about what that victory meant for the Argentine people. Because on that day, there was more than a place in the semi-final on the line. There was the pain of the recent past, national pride, and the emotions of millions of people. The first half ended without a goal. The moment that changed the match came in the 51st minute. After Steve Hodges' awkward clearance, the ball rose into the England penalty area. Peter Shilton came out from his goal. Maradona jumped toward the ball as well. Under normal circumstances, that ball belonged to the goalkeeper. Shilton was much taller. Maradona was clearly shorter. But as Maradona rose, he used his left hand. The ball went into the net. The English players immediately protested. But the Tunisian referee, Ali bin Nasser, gave the goal. When there was no signal from his assistant to say otherwise, the decision stood. Argentina had taken the lead. After the match, Maradona said one of the most famous lines in football history. The goal was scored a little with Maradona's head and a little with the hand of God. Years later, he would openly admit that he had used his hand. The footage left little room for doubt anyway. But on that day at the Azteca, the decision had been made. The goal stood. Argentina were 1-0 ahead. And just 4 minutes later, Maradona did something no one could argue with. He received the ball inside his own half. First, he went past Peter Beardsley. Then, he passed Peter Reid. After that, he left Terry Butcher and Terry Fenwick behind him. He went past Peter Shilton as well, and from a tight angle, sent the ball into the net. A run of nearly 50 meters. A slalom squeezed into just a few seconds. And a moment that would enter World Cup history as the goal of the century. This time, there was no hand, no excuse, no protest. There was only Maradona. In the 81st minute, Gary Lineker pulled one back for England, but it was not enough. The match ended 2-1. Argentina reached the semi-final. England were out of the tournament, and that quarter-final at the Azteca did not remain just another match. It became one of the most talked about, most debated, and most remembered games in football history. But Maradona's 1986 World Cup story did not end with the England match. In the semi-final against Belgium, he stepped onto the stage again and scored twice. In the final against West Germany, he helped create the championship-winning goal scored by Jorge Burruchaga. Argentina won the World Cup for the second time. But by then, the true face of Mexico '86 was clear. This was Maradona's tournament. He finished the tournament with 5 goals and 5 assists. He was directly involved in 10 of Argentina's 14 goals. He played every minute of all 7 matches. He was named the best player of the tournament, and opponents stopped him with fouls again and again. But what made Mexico '86 unforgettable was not only the numbers. Because some tournaments are remembered through statistics. Others are remembered through a single feeling. Maradona's 1986 was a story that carried both the brightest and the darkest sides of football in the same body. In the same match, there was the hand of God, and there was the goal of the century. One is still debated, the other is still watched with admiration. And maybe that was exactly what made Maradona so great. He was flawed, mesmerizing, controversial. But when he stepped onto the pitch, he was unique enough to change the entire balance of football.